Hello everyone, welcome to Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. We have a lot to learn about this game. Maybe we should have done the tutorial. No, I fucking died. No. Fuck. Dude, I died. This shit is not easy at all. Like, you have to get headshots only. I'm gonna... Fuck! We may be re-recording some of this shit. I think we just gotta be like super aggressive Rambo, like I'm not even joking. I think we just gotta like go in, fucking shoot this shit out of this first dude. Fuck. If you do. Hello everybody. As you can see, we are finally in the zone. We are in Stalker, the original Stalker. I have talked about it in previous videos. Had some trouble getting off the ground there. Yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed that edit. It took me... There's actually a whole nother video that I just didn't even edit into that little montage, just because it would have taken so much time to record and document every death and every little funny part, but it was difficult, you know, getting the landing gear up on Stalker 2. I think part of it was because I was trying to do a live voiceover. That is no good with Stalker, not Stalker 2, with the original Stalker. The original Stalker is much harder than Stalker 2. Even on the easiest novice level, it is a lot harder. So right now, you can see in the game, I think by this point, I've kind of did the first little quest bit where you go in and you kind of raid, you attack these bandits that are holding up a buddy called Nimble, and you know, he gives you some kind of flash drive and you bring it back to this trader dude, which looks hilarious, by the way. In the original, like the first recording I did of this video, or like of this game, this guy that we're looking at right now on screen, I laughed so hard when I first saw his model, since I played Stalker 2 first before playing this. Just his model looks so funny in this game compared to what he looks like in Stalker 2. So the graphics are definitely a big adjustment. However, I do think it'll make entertaining gameplay for me to just talk over. For just talking purposes, it really doesn't matter. We don't really need gameplay that is super, you know, what's the word, engaging, like BioShock Infinite, because the main kind of spiel of this whole video game podcast thing is that my part of the entertainment comes from just me talking about whatever I want to talk about. And part of what I'd like to talk about today is healthcare. I know in my last BioShock video, I was trying to juggle talking about healthcare and fighting a giant mechanical bird at the same time, but you know, that just really wasn't working out. So today I'm just sitting here talking to myself with my cat on my desk right by me. Hopefully you can't hear him licking himself in the background, but he's cleaning his paws right now. But yeah, here we are. We finally made it to the video game podcast format. I'm excited to start off talking about healthcare. I live in the United States. To give some context, I do not like the healthcare in the United States. I don't like the healthcare in the United States despite me having some of the best insurance in the world. Quite literally in the world. I have some of the best health insurance in the United States, let alone the entire world. And I still don't like our healthcare system. What that means is, I can get lots of medical services done for free, and I still don't like our medical system. Why is that? Well, there's a few reasons. To start off our story, we'd have to go back to 2016 when I was a lot younger. I was in high school. A lot of you, I guess I was around 14. I was prescribed a drug called Vyvanse. That is an ADHD medication. It is an amphetamine-based stimulant, and it is prescribed for mainly ADHD. I don't know if it has off-label uses for depression or anxiety, but its on-label use and function is for ADHD. And I was diagnosed with ADHD stemming from anxiety, right? So I had this general anxiety that was causing me to act up and act out in school. So the social worker and the psychiatrist they did some little tests on me and decided, hey, we're gonna put you on ADHD medication. And in ways it was great, and in ways it wasn't. Ways it was great, I got really good grades in school. When I first started taking it, I had amazing grades. I had straight A's. My parents were so happy. My son, he's finally just sitting down in school and behaving and doing his work and getting good grades. He's not in trouble anymore. They were so happy to just have their little robot zombie son. Downsides, kind of just mentioned it. I was a little robot zombie. So really notably, I was prescribed a high dose. I weighed probably 100 pounds soaking wet going into high school, and I was prescribed this dose of 20 milligrams of Vyvanse. I think once daily starting off. I think it became twice daily later on because I would crash. Anyways, essentially by lunchtime, I would be this silent, not talking robot because it would kill my appetite. I wouldn't eat, and then it would make me feel just completely awful. And so I guess my point was there was downsides, and I was very on and off with this ADHD medication that I was taking, especially in high school. I was on and off with it. I think I took it for I started taking it in August of 2016, and I stopped taking it in March of 2017. So maybe that's around 9 months, maybe. I'm not sure. I really don't know. That could have been a very big miscalculation there. But I took it for a good little bit, and when I stopped taking it, I felt a lot better. I felt a lot like me. However, it kind of, I would say, opened the door to some drug experimentation in high school. You know, I kind of used it to justify, if this crazy Schedule 1 stimulant isn't hurting me that bad, weed probably won't hurt me, and then I use that same justification down the line for other things, which I will not get into today, just because for, privacy's sake, weed is very socially acceptable right now. That's as far as I'm comfortable talking about with my past. So I dropped the ADHD medication and went full time on the cannabis as a young man. That ended very quickly. I'd say, my parents, caught me eventually, and I completely stopped. Cannabis really wasn't for me. Anyways, it gave me lots of anxiety, which is another symptom. So let's go over kind of the ups and downs of ADHD medication for me. So ADHD medication, I believe, is great at doing busy work, and I had a lot of busy work in early high school. I had a lot of homework, a lot of busy work. I didn't have to study a whole lot. I wasn't required to memorize complex topics, complex learning objectives. So if you're just doing busy work and the things you're memorizing aren't that complicated, it's pretty good for that. Another thing it's good at is, if you do have ADHD, it did, calm me down. It wouldn't have me bouncing off the walls like it does other people without ADHD. I would say that it also suppressed my appetite a lot, and it also interfered with my sleep. And the sleep thing is something that will come in later, because I believe it plays a large role in why daily ADHD medicine is such a thing that's not good and puts you at a disadvantage. So to go kind of to progress the story forward, I was very on and off in high school. I stopped taking Vyvanse, then I switched later, like months later. I decided I wanted to start again, so my PCP put me on Adderall XR in the morning, and then instant release in the afternoon whenever I crashed, to kind of keep me awake, because I would get home and I would fall asleep immediately. My parents would notice how grumpy I was after school. They would notice essentially me not eating and whatnot. And then, just after that, I think I found out that amphetamines are neurotoxic, which is another downside to a lot of ADHD medications. They're neurotoxic, which means they damage your dopamine receptors in your brain. I believe they downregulate them. Don't quote me on that. However, not good for your brain, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And because of that, I switched to a drug called Ritalin. And Ritalin, I never abused Ritalin, but I definitely didn't take it every day. Ritalin is not neurotoxic. It's not amphetamine based. It is the chemical name is methylphenidate. It is often, if younger kids have ADHD, it's often prescribed to them because it is not neurotoxic and won't do any damage to the brain. I believe it may be a little less cardiotoxic as well. So I was taking Ritalin on and off, and through standardized testing and throughout college, I took Ritalin on and off. And I have anecdotal evidence, just myself. I'm not saying, this is the same thing for other people, but taking the ACT, I took the studied for months for the ACT on Ritalin, took the test on Ritalin, and I got a certain score. Let's say I got a 30. And then, for months I studied again and took it again without Ritalin, and I took the ACT again. I took the ACT 8 times, so took the ACT again, and I got the same exact score. And so at that point, I was like, well, if this isn't making a difference in my standardized test score, I'm just not going to take it, because it makes me feel crappy. So I stopped taking it, and I end up getting a much higher score on the ACT without Ritalin. And throughout college, I also noticed that whenever it came to using Ritalin to study for long periods of times, it would affect my sleep, therefore affecting my memory, and therefore affecting my ability to understand, comprehend, and memorize advanced, complex topics, organic chemistry topics, calculus 2 topics. So all of these more advanced, higher math, higher science topics and learning objectives became very hard to memorize when I was taking methylphenidate daily. And I believe it's because I wasn't sleeping enough. I believe that the sleep you do get is crummy sleep. It's sleep where you're not getting a good sleep cycle. And if you know anything about sleep, that's like the entire reason we have memory. If you're not sleeping, you're not memorizing anything. So I do think that, it's very... one of the if you're gonna do ADHD medicine, it's very important to, one, eat, stay hydrated, and get enough sleep. I'm not here to bash ADHD medication. It's just context. So here's my issue, is right now I'm having some health issues, both physical and mental, and I'm seeing a nurse practitioner for medication management. And what that means essentially is once a month I go in there and we talk about how am I doing on I take 3 different medications. I won't name them specifically. I may name one, but we talk about how's our dose doing, how am I doing, do we need to start any new medications, do we need to stop any medications, do we need to lower any doses, we need to raise, you get the gist. She manages my medications. And the first time I saw her, we talked about my medical history. I told her about my ADHD diagnoses and how it stemmed from anxiety. And she, right off the bat, offered me another ADHD prescription. And her selling point was that doctors usually start patients on way too high of a dose, which I agree with, but I just don't think ADHD medication bodes well with my body. And so I declined ADHD medication from her. Not the last time she offered. She offered many more times. Felt a little pushy almost, but it is what it is. She even I see a therapist at that same clinic, and she tried to talk to my therapist about why I should be on ADHD medication too. But so essentially stimulants are not for me, and one of my drugs is more sedating, and one of them is an SSRI. So one of the drugs is sedating that I take, and then another one of the 3 drugs is an SSRI, and she pushed these SSRIs on me in order to get the more sedating anti-anxiety drug that, you know, I need to. It's helped me function, it's helped me get a new job, it's helped me just do a lot. It's made my life so much better. But she has such an issue with prescribing it because she says it's addictive, and it is addictive. She's right. However, you know what else is addictive? ADHD medication. And the drugs she was actually initially offering me are actually much higher on the schedule list for the DEA than the sedative drugs that I'm taking currently. And that, I believe, you know, take DEA scheduling for what you will, but, you know, it does say something that some studies have found, you know, amphetamine ADHD medications to be, you know, no good, or just not very beneficial, in a medicinal sense at least. So she essentially, I guess my point is, she really wants to push me onto these medications that I don't want to be on. To get the medications that I even wanted, I had to start a medication I didn't want, and I just think that's completely unfair. There's also, you know, another medication that I'm currently on that I believe maybe she, you know, is, maybe, I don't know if she's discriminating against me for it, or what is going on, or treating me differently because I'm on it. I'm not sure exactly, but you know, my therapist agrees that the sedative medication that I'm on, it works well, and that if it works, you know, why, if it's broke, don't try to fix it, right? So my next appointment with my medication manager is tomorrow. I've bugged the hell out of that clinic trying to talk to her supervising psychiatrist about, you know, getting a referral out to someone who will prescribe me the medicine I want. And I think that has maybe stirred up a little shit over there, and maybe she had a talking to by the psychiatrist saying, hey, this guy wants to go somewhere else because of you. Can you play ball so that we don't lose customers? And I think she may have had issues. I know she's had issues in the past with clients before, because she's told me about it with these certain medications. Now, just for the record, you know, I don't do any, I mentioned, you know, using marijuana in the past. I don't use any illegal drugs now. That was a long time ago in the past. My clinicians, physicians, they're aware of that. So it just sucks so bad that, you know, the American healthcare system, it's so hard to get drugs that actually work, and they always want to push some miracle drug on you, right? And the miracle drug that was pushed on me is an SSRI, right? So SSRI. And essentially how they work is you take them for a few weeks, and they're supposed to, quote, build up in your system before they actually start to work. Because of that, the first 2 weeks you may experience really bad side effects before you experience any of the beneficial side effects, and including but not limited to gastrointestinal side effects like diarrhea, because you have serotonin receptors in your gut. Another one includes increasing suicidal thoughts, which, can be really bad for certain patients, especially if your clinician knows you're already having suicidal thoughts. Wouldn't it be a conflict of interest to put them on a drug that may potentially increase suicidal thoughts rather than decrease? Wouldn't that be the first goal would be, or first thing to consider would be, hey, let's not make him want to kill himself more than he already does. Not saying that's me, hypothetically, but SSRIs are supposed to be this wonder drug, right? However, they cause suicidal thoughts, they cause headaches, they cause gastrointestinal issues, they can cause issues with your libido, your sex drive, they can cause weight gain issues, they can cause weight loss issues, they can cause permanent personality change, they can cause much more permanent issues than are usually addressed. And part of well, I guess I will get into that later, but then they say, once you level out after 2 weeks, your anxiety, your depression should be gone or whatever, according to the dose. Maybe they'll up your dosing if you're still having symptoms or whatnot. So they say, let's get back to why this nurse practitioner doesn't want to prescribe me the drug that I find very beneficial. She says it's addictive and that it should only be used for short term. Well, SSRIs aren't considered addictive by the medical community yet. However, it is my belief and my prediction that within 10 years, SSRIs will be looked down upon by the medical community and considered not just addictive, but harmful, just straight up no good. Like, not doing more harm than good, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's something that they classify addictive drugs as something that makes you feel better, something that has to build up in your system, and something that you have a withdrawal from. And SSRI fits all three of those categories. Over time it makes you feel good. Over time, you build a dependency on it, and when you try to stop, you feel like shit and it makes you want to kill yourself. Like, literally, when you try to stop, it makes you want to kill yourself. And they sit here and it's not really addictive because it doesn't have any recreational value. What? Are we being serious here? It may not be addictive, but that doesn't mean it's dependence forming. If we're avoiding dependence, part of addiction is dependence forming. It's just SSRIs are not the drug they say they are. I highly advise to steer clear of them. If you are prescribed them, really consider just not taking them and playing ball with your doctor, just going along. I'm taking mine just to see if it works, because I do wanna. It's the lowest dose possible, so hopefully it doesn't have any permanent impact. But I do know multiple people who, once they started taking SSRIs, they just changed. And we're really never the same, and it's sad because they've even stopped now and they're still different. They've had permanent changes to their libido, to their mental health, to their personality. It's very sad that, and the worst thing is that the reason that they were put on SSRIs wasn't even like, they didn't even have that valid of a reason to begin SSRIs to begin with. You know, a lot of them were just having normal teen angst, or, you know, moderate depression that could have been solved by other things. And it's just sad to see another generation hooked on a wonder drug that is going to really cause much. It's already caused a lot of damage. It's going to cause a lot more damage as we see people try to get off of it. I know personally, one of my friend's girlfriends right now, one of the issues with trying to get off of it is they don't, part of getting off is you taper off, which means you take a low dose, like you keep lowering your dose over a certain amount of time, right? So for February, you may take 5 milligrams a day, and then for March, you may take 2.5 milligrams a day. Well, it is extremely hard to find those lower doses of, you know, SSRIs. Lexapro is the example I'm using. So it's extremely hard to find those lower doses of Lexapro or other SSRIs. They don't make, and that's on purpose. That's by design too. They don't want you tapering off. These medications are expensive. They want your insurance paying out for it. They want you paying out for it if you don't have insurance. So it's worrisome to me that, you know, there's really no exit plan. Especially, I know how to volumetrically dose, so I'm not worried about it. But your average Joe is just gonna be fucked whenever it's time to get off of SSRIs. They're gonna try to go lower than 2.5 milligrams of Lexapro, and their doctor's gonna be like, just cut it in half, then cut that in half. Then it's like, okay, I can't cut a pill in half 8 times, dude, and I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night wanting to compulsively kill myself. So, or having extreme anxiety. Another fun fact, if you are on SSRIs or were on SSRIs in the past, you cannot join the military. Let that sink in. The 2 other drugs I'm currently taking that are not SSRIs, you can join the military on those drugs. Let that sink in. Why does the military not want soldiers on SSRIs? Like, that speaks so much for itself that it's crazy to me. And it's crazy to me that more people don't know this. And I hate, like I said, so many people I know are on SSRIs, and it's gonna be the next, you know, epidemic. When people try to get off of it, it's going to be an issue. In the 2000s, it was opioids, you know, Oxycontin. They said it wasn't addictive when it really was. They said Adderall wasn't addictive. They said it's non-dependence forming. Well, just because it doesn't form a physical dependence doesn't mean that mental dependence can have a big effect on your mental. And now, you know, without a problem, in high school and early college, I could just jump on and off ADHD medication as much as I wanted. Now, or like the last couple times I received it, which were like a year or 2 ago, probably about a year ago, that my doctor was like, yeah, studies are showing now that, you know, there's a link between, or it was either a direct link or just a correlation between the cease of ADHD medication and suicide. So, you know, just because something isn't dependence forming, just because something isn't as easily abusable, doesn't mean, you know, that they're non-addictive. Right? So I think when there's two different things. So addiction and dependence are different, right? So people aren't addicted to SSRIs because they're not. To be addicted to something, you kind of have to like enjoy it, right? People are dependence forming on SSRIs. Although I do know some people who really enjoy the kind of uplifting feeling of SSRIs. It makes them neurotic almost, and it's very. They say it makes them feel euphoric, like all throughout the day. So I kind of do see it as some people are addicted to it, but your average Joe taking an SSRI is just physically dependent, and dependence doesn't equal addiction. However, addiction can be dependence, if that makes sense. So, you know, when we're talking about, you know, drugs of abuse, just because you can't get a bottle of Lexapro and immediately get high on it doesn't make it safe, doesn't make it better than another drug, doesn't make it more effective than at treating anxiety, you know? So that's the issue I'm in is, you know, we're in this current medical trend, big pharma trend of them trying to push SSRIs on everyone. And it's scary just how much power they have, you know, to get an entire generation hooked on a morphine derivative and claim it's non-addictive is one thing, but doing it repeatedly with other drugs of all classes is just, how do we keep letting this happen as a society? I personally, if I ever have kids, they will not be taking any medication unless it is an extreme case. It is my firm belief that the best medication is exercise and sunshine. I truly think getting outside and going outdoors and spending time with your friends does so much more for your mental health than SSRIs ever could. And you know, I think it's just hard for a lot of people to do that nowadays because a lot of people are working their ass off just to survive, and they don't have time to go out and have fun or do what they enjoy because, you know, they're worried about paying bills and they gotta work. You know, I knew multiple people at my previous job that, you know, once they got done with that job, they would go work on the weekends. And it's just sad to me. They were on SSRIs too. So it's just sad to me that people can't just be happy as is. I'm kind of a special case right now. I've always had general anxiety disorder, like I've said. I've found ways to deal with it, but you know, 2024 was a very traumatic year for a number of reasons, sadly, and because of that, I'm now searching for temporary, you know, medical answers. Pharmaceutical answers and medical answers. So, you know, yeah, we'll see what my nurse practitioner says tomorrow, but I've been kind of trying to doctor shop, and multiple doctors kind of told me to fuck off. Like, I'm not prescribing you that. Essentially, I guess what they said is you already have a doctor, and I'm gonna let that doctor continue treating you, and I don't want to take you on as a patient. Is essentially, they didn't say that, but essentially they said like, hey, this doctor prescribed you this medication. I don't know why, but I'm gonna let that doctor handle it. That's literally what they said. And to me, that's them saying like, hey, you're taking this medication, you most likely need it. That's fine. Let that doctor handle it. I will not be the one to get involved with this. They don't want to do actual work. You know, they already got paid. And so I guess the strategy I developed for navigating the healthcare system today, make an appointment 2 weeks out. If you're trying to get prescribed a certain medication, or if you're trying to go a certain direction with your healthcare, make an appointment a week out, and then call the front office or go through the patient portal and send them a message saying to your team that you're going to be seeing in your upcoming appointment, saying, hey, you know, are we on the same page? If not, cancel that appointment. Do not waste your time. Do not waste your money. Do not waste your health insurance deductible. It's right now, I guess the biggest thing for me is I'm having to go to all these appointments, and it's just I'm trying to really focus on my work right now. I'm a contract worker, and part of a contract renewal is performance. And if I'm, you know, going to 2 to 3 appointments a week looking for a new doctor that'll just give me a basic medication that I need. By the way, all 3 of these medications are medications that I cannot stop taking. Like, you are not supposed to just abruptly stop taking these medications. So if I do, if this doesn't go well tomorrow, I'm fucked. So that's my advice to all of y'all. Really, do doctors hate when patients do their own research and come in and act like, you know, they know, but really do your own research and make sure you're getting your information from credible sources like studies. Make sure it's not like a bullshit website that is a bullshit website. You'll be able to tell. You should be. If you're not, you're too far gone if you can't tell a bullshit website from a legitimate study. You read those studies on those drugs, read those studies on those health conditions. It's important to know and be educated on what you're going to be discussing with your doctor, because a lot of doctors, believe it or not, have their heads up their asses and don't know what the fuck they're talking about. For example, I am a highly educated person, and I mean that literally. I have a higher education. It is medical oriented. I will not specifically say, you know, what kind of degrees I have or don't have, but whenever I go talk to a doctor or a nurse practitioner, I'm usually much more informed than they are. And I've tried playing dumb, and I've found that is a lot less helpful than calling them out on their own bullshit and their own laziness. A lot of doctors are too lazy to educate themselves on. Being a doctor means you have to continuously keep up to date on new medical findings, on new standards for treatments. You know, think about if your doctor never went to any conventions or never read the yearly report on standards, or never went to state board standard meetings yearly. You know, they just wouldn't know what the fuck is going on. And in 5 years from now, when SSRIs are, you know, not recommended anymore, that doctor that doesn't go to these meetings isn't gonna know and is gonna keep prescribing you stuff like that. So, you know, you want your doctor to be well informed, you want yourself to be well informed, because sometimes those healthcare professionals that we seek out do not have our best interests at heart, and they also do not know what they're talking about. I know from firsthand experience. I think a lot of people in the US feel like they're just bounced around from doctor to doctor, and their true concerns feel unheard, and they're not happy with healthcare. That these things I'm discussing right now are common themes and feelings among many citizens throughout our country. You know, this is nothing new what I'm talking about right now, but there is a lot of uninformed people. There are a lot of uninformed people out there still, and it is my kind of goal to help them. So I really do hope that my advice helped. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.